The Federal Trade Commission has taken action against GoDaddy for alleged lax data security for its website hosting services. If you have a website hosted at GoDaddy, you're gonna want to hear this. I want to take a look at the FTC complaint, which outlines quite a few allegations about GoDaddy's lack of security practices, and this ultimately led to countless customer sites being compromised. We'll also take a look at the FTC's required actions from GoDaddy and what you can do to secure your site now, including some alternative options. Okay, so what exactly did GoDaddy do? Well, I've got the FTC complaint in front of me and I'd like to read through some of the document, then we'll unpack what it means. So here's page 1 of the complaint. We're going to go down to the summary of the case. GoDaddy is one of the largest website hosting companies in the world with approximately 5 million customers. Since at least 2015, GoDaddy has marketed itself as a secure choice for customers to host their website, touting its commitment to data security and careful threat monitoring practices in multiple locations, including its main website for hosting services, its Trust Center, and in email and online marketing. In fact, GoDaddy's data security program was unreasonable for a company of its size and complexity. Despite its representations, GoDaddy was blind to vulnerabilities and threats in its hosting environment. Since 2018, GoDaddy has violated Section 5 of the FTC Act by failing to implement standard security tools and practices to protect the environment where it hosts customers' websites and data, and to monitor it for security threats. In particular, GoDaddy failed too, and it has a whole list of things here that we're going to get into. These failures made GoDaddy's representations about security false or misleading. So due to these failures on GoDaddy's part, it experienced several major compromises of its hosting services between 2019 and December 2022, in which threat actors repeatedly gained access to its customers' websites and data, causing harm to its customers and putting them and visitors to their websites at risk of further harm. Even after these compromises of its environment, GoDaddy continues to struggle to gain visibility into its hosting environment and adequately monitor it for threats. There's a lot to unpack here. Essentially, not only has the FTC called out GoDaddy for not properly securing its hosting products, they're also accusing GoDaddy of misleading consumers through repeated security claims in their marketing. We can see on page 3 of the complaint, the FTC has 7 screenshots of various landing pages and social media ads with claims of GoDaddy's rock-solid security. Now, security is a bit vague and subjective. Everyone has a different idea of sufficient security. So let's see what the FTC found in its investigation. Page 7 reads, since at least January 2018, GoDaddy has engaged in numerous practices that, taken individually or together, failed to provide reasonable security in its shared hosting environment to prevent unauthorized access and to protect it from such threats as follows. GoDaddy has failed to adequately inventory and manage computer assets. GoDaddy has failed to adequately manage security-related software updates, also known as patches. GoDaddy has failed to centrally track whether operating systems and other software are current with necessary security patches. Prior to 2020, GoDaddy's security policy required critical security patches to be installed within 30 days. But up until 2022, it relied on various product teams to install security patches with no means to centrally track whether they had done so. As a result, GoDaddy's installation of patches has been inconsistent, and on numerous occasions, available patches have not been installed, subjecting the devices to known critical vulnerabilities. Then there's a section covering shared hosting as well. GoDaddy has failed to conduct regular penetration testing for the shared hosting environment. Penetration testing evaluates how secure an environment is against unauthorized access or exploitation by attempting to compromise it. GoDaddy has also failed to adequately log security-related events and information, and GoDaddy has failed to adequately monitor for suspicious activity and security threats. But honestly, the more you read this document, the worse things get. GoDaddy has relied on username and password authentication for employee SSH access to customer environments, such as its cPanel service, instead of a more secure alternative such as SSH certificates or public and private key pairs. GoDaddy has failed to implement multi-factor authentication. Until after it discovered a breach of its cPanel service in March 2020, GoDaddy did not require MFA for privileged employee administrative logins to the environment. GoDaddy has also not offered MFA as an option to customers for their cPanel admin logins. So these are just a few of the ways GoDaddy has failed to secure its hosting services, and these shortcomings have already caused incident after incident over the years. In October 2019, a threat actor gained access to the shared hosting environment. In late March 2020, a threat actor's actions inside the GoDaddy network caused GoDaddy's front page to be taken down. Although this threat actor was not definitively linked to the first threat actor, the website interruption prompted GoDaddy to hire an outside security firm to search its network for possible compromise, including the shared hosting environment. At this point, the initial threat actor had been in the shared hosting environment for 6 months, yet GoDaddy had not been alerted by any of its security tools or monitoring systems. Yikes! And the issues don't stop there. In November 2021, GoDaddy discovered a compromise of its WordPress managed hosting service in the shared hosting environment. A threat actor used previously compromised credentials to access an internet-facing API that enabled customer service staff to retrieve information on GoDaddy customers. The API could be used to retrieve the customer's email addresses, private encryption keys, and their WordPress admin credentials, database credentials, and FTP credentials. Let me just take a moment to stress the significance of this. GoDaddy had credentials get compromised. They didn't change those credentials after they were compromised. Then a threat actor came along and used the already compromised credentials to log in and get access to everyone's WordPress admin logins, website files, and databases. If you've followed me for long enough, you know I'm a huge advocate of using a security plugin like WordFence or Solid Security to protect your WordPress site, but even if you were using one, it wouldn't matter. A hacker could just log into your hosting via FTP, remove the plugins, and help themselves to your website. This is why I also advocate for automatic backups, but when GoDaddy would likely be the one storing these backups, what's to say those couldn't get wiped out as well? I've never been a fan of GoDaddy. I think I've made that very clear on my channel. They use shady sales tactics, the products are terribly overpriced, and the service has never been that great. But even I am shocked by the pure negligence displayed by GoDaddy, and I never would have imagined that such a large hosting provider could be this careless. In response, the FTC has proposed a settlement order requiring GoDaddy to establish a comprehensive security program, ensuring the security, confidentiality, and integrity of its services. The order mandates that GoDaddy hire an independent third-party assessor to conduct an initial and biennial review of its program. The order also prohibits GoDaddy from making misleading claims about its security. The same day the complaint was published, the FTC released a blog post titled, "Go Ask Your Web Host Some Questions, Tips for Businesses from the GoDaddy Settlement." The blog post reads, so when you go looking for a web host, the company that'll store your site on its servers, security is non-negotiable. Today's settlement with GoDaddy shows what can happen when security slips. GoDaddy acknowledged the FTC's proposed settlement order in its own blog post, stating, "As we move forward, we plan to continue making improvements beyond the FTC's order to help provide additional protection for our customers in an effort to stay ahead of bad actors." Sounds like they're about 10 years too late, but hey, that's just me. So if you're a GoDaddy customer, what should you do with this information? If I were you, I wouldn't wait to get your websites off of GoDaddy. Thankfully, domains, web hosting, and email hosting are relatively easy to transfer elsewhere. There are a few considerations when evaluating the right provider for your needs. For domains, I would take a look at Porkbun. You'll save a ton of money moving your domains there, and that's a general theme when you leave GoDaddy. For web hosting, if you're using GoDaddy's managed WordPress hosting, I would recommend either Kinsta or Hostinger's Business Plan, depending on your budget. If you're using GoDaddy's cPanel product, cPanel hosting through A2 or InMotion would be a great choice. Although, if you're using cPanel to host a WordPress site, I would work to get away from cPanel anyway. I think you can get better value from WordPress-specific hosting at DreamHost or Hostinger. Unfortunately, if you built your website with the GoDaddy site builder, you can't transfer your site. You're going to have to cut your losses and rebuild your site using another platform like WordPress, Squarespace, or Wix. If you just need to get a new website up fast, I recently did a video showing how you can build a WordPress site with AI in 10 minutes. Finally, for email hosting, I'd recommend Namecheap's Business Email, Porkbun's email hosting, or Google Workspace depending on your needs. Namecheap and Porkbun are perfect for no-frills email hosting on a budget, and Google Workspace is best if you want the highest quality email hosting powered by Gmail. I have detailed comparison videos for domain registrars, web hosts, and email hosts that I'll have linked below, but almost all of the alternatives I mentioned will be much more affordable than GoDaddy. If you're ready to leave GoDaddy, I'd recommend starting by transferring your domains. I've got a full tutorial showing how to transfer your domains from GoDaddy to Porkbun that you can check out here.